Hi, I'm Rob Johnson with the law firm of R.D. Johnson Law Offices, and I'm going to talk about how I believe Nevada real estate investors can best protect their real estate investments, particularly residential real estate investments. So the traditional thing, of course, that people do is they use an LLC to protect their real estate investments, and most people will put one property in each LLC. So if they've got three properties, they'll set up three LLCs and have a real estate property in each LLC. And that's smart because it protects so that multiple properties aren't exposed to liability. If there's an issue on one property and a renter sues or a guest of a renter, then they can look to whatever that LLC owns, and if it's one property, that's all they can look to for recovery. The LLC shields the individual from that liability, and they have to look to the LLC itself. But there's another alternative that not many people are aware of to protect those real estate investments, and that's the Nevada Real Estate Trust that we created, R.D. Johnson Law Offices. And it's designed specifically for real estate investments to protect those investments so that you get the protection both from someone suing, they have to look to the trust for recovery, and on the other side, if you get sued personally, to be able to protect the assets that are in the real estate trust so that they can't get to the real estate property. And the Nevada Real Estate Trust will do both. The trust provides statutory protection. It's explicit, the protection that's available under the statute. For a personal judgment creditor to get into the trust, they have to prove fraud by clear and convincing evidence, which is a higher legal standard, and there's a shortened time for them to bring that claim. Essentially 2 years, or if it's a known claimant, then the transfer was made after you knew that they had a claim against you. It's 2 years from the time they knew or reasonably should have known of the transfer. But the good news is that the law specifies if it's a transfer on the public record, such as real estate, that imputes time so that that judgment creditor knows legally of that transfer at the time it's recorded with the county recorder's office. So that would be 6 months from the time they knew or reasonably should have known, and they reasonably should have known at the time it's required. So very short. They have to prove, again, fraud by clear and convincing evidence. So very difficult to get into the trust. Now, unlike the LLC, if you've got a charging order, the trust will enable free flow of the income from the trust, even if you have a big judgment against you personally. Now, what you do if you have a judgment, you stop distributing to yourself personally. You have the trustee of the trust write the check to pay your personal expenses like your home mortgage, your kids' school tuition, your gas and electric bill, whatever those things are. You write the check to pay directly where it needs to be paid, and it's not going to come out to you if you have that judgment where you might get hit with a garnishment while it's in your hands or bank account. So the real estate trust, just like multiple LLCs, you can set up separate real estate trusts and put one property into each real estate trust. One of the big benefits is it's a one-time cost, unlike the LLC that you have to pay annual fees to the Secretary of State for. And in addition to that, the trust has your estate planning built into it. The trust will specify who gets what of that property, the proceeds or the property. Can go to your kids or your other family members, to charity, whatever you want that to be after you pass away. And that will all happen without any court involvement, so it'll avoid probate of that property. So this is a great way to protect your real estate investments and minimize your expense, your ongoing expense in doing that. Another benefit is that there's a federal law that says that if you put mortgaged property into a trust where the borrower is the beneficiary, then the bank can't call the note due because of the transfer, unlike an LLC where there's always risk that if you transfer mortgaged property to an LLC, the bank could call the note due. Very rare for them to do that, but they certainly could. So a bunch of good benefits with this trust. I think you should seriously consider it if you're a real estate investor. And again, as we talked about before, it can fit together with your personal estate planning or personal asset protection planning. Ideally, your personal assets are kept separate and your real estate investments are kept separate in separate real estate trusts. So anyway, we're doing some more videos on more focused topics, like for business investors. That's coming next. If you look, there will be some links where you can click and link to those videos. I appreciate you watching. Thanks, and please go to our website for more information, rdjohnsonlaw.com, or our blog at rdjlawlv-lv.com. Thanks so much.